Did you recognize that sound? Well, if you did, you're pretty good because it is the sound of a camera clicking. Do cameras click anymore? Well, we're going to find out because we have today somebody I've been waiting to be able to interview, Julie Diebolt Price. Heart of Travel is taking photographs. And I know that I don't know how to do it. I don't even know how to pose for them, let alone take them. And let's remember, this is the way we will be remembered. When somebody sees you in the front of the Capitol in Tashkent, you better look as good as your surroundings. So it's not only the way you look, but it's the pictures that you take, it's the memories that you keep. And today we're going to speak to a true expert in photography and specifically travel photography. What of the things that you need in your equipment, if anything, is a phone enough? Where do you find the light? And how do you look through that camera or through that lens so that you're doing something very special? So thank you so much, Julie. I'm so happy to have you with me.
Thank you, Adrienne. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, we're going to be discussing a lot of things, but I want to go right to the jugular right now, which is how to take these pictures. Now, I was told that every single day, more photos are taken through phones than all the photographs in all the world ever taken in the past. That's how many clicks we have out there digitally. So let's start with that. Are there any hints and tips in using our cell phones to take pictures?
Two very important things to start with. Make sure your lens is clean, easy enough to do, wipe it on your clothes, and use the grid to compose your pictures. And if you don't know where the grid is, it is under settings, and you just turn it on and start using that to compose your images.
What about at night when you're using your phone? Sometimes my phone just clicks off, it gets dark, and all of a sudden I see yellow shadows, and I realize it's talking to me. It's telling me the light's not right. What should I be doing?
Pay attention to what it says and learn the features on your phone, because it's hard to make a mistake if you read what the phone is telling you. It's really hard to make a mistake, and just spend a little bit of time learning all of the features. So many of my students don't know about the grid, or they don't know that you can adjust the exposure very easily just with a finger push or pull on the screen. And so one of the things that I've done in the last 3 years is start teaching my students on their phones first, because the phone is something we always have with us. And the famous question is, what's the best camera to use? The one you have with you. The iPhone and Android is so good, it's hard to make a mistake. It's hard to get a bad picture. I've started teaching people how to use their phone to capture images and then transfer that knowledge onto the DSLR or the mirrorless cameras. Frankly, I only use iPhone now when I travel. The iPhone is so much easier and so much more compact to bring on a trip. The thing that's most important, however, is to always make sure you have backup battery power.
We're going to be asking you too about this DSLR for those of the folks who want to go a little bit beyond the iPhones, a little bit beyond the Androids. If you're ageless travelers, you know how important photography is, and you want to be very proud, even if all you're doing is showing the pictures to your kids, your family, your friends, or posting on Facebook. If you have a hankering to do what we do, what Julie Diebolt Price and I do, and that is get our information out to the public, then you certainly need the component of the photography. So let's go back, Julie. Now, of course, we talked about the iPhone, we talked about the Android, but the mirrorless camera. Now, I'm a complete newbie. I'm in front of the camera, not behind it. Tell us about the DSLR and how you should pick a good one and when you should use it.
Okay, let's start with the DSLR. That's a digital single lens reflex, which simply means there's a mirror inside and it flips up when you take the picture. When you press the shutter, you hear that click, that's the mirror flipping up and back down. It's older technology, although there are still plenty of DSLRs out there. But the newer technology is a mirrorless camera, which, like it says, it doesn't have a mirror. It works faster and it's more compact than a DSLR. Every year, the camera manufacturers come out with the latest and greatest and something new. I used to spend a lot of money keeping up with technology, buying the latest and greatest camera, until one year I realized, I am delivering the quality that I need for my clients. So I no longer upgraded my camera body every year. I did invest in really good lenses to go with these cameras because the lenses are designed to work with the camera manufacturer bodies. You will see a difference, definitely.
Now, when we come back, we're going to be talking about a couple of technical things on how to take a beautiful picture. The rule of thirds, depth of field. But I also want to talk to Julie about being in front of the camera. What should you do to look your best? Or if it's not just looking your best that's important, but looking fascinating. So if you're posting and you want people to really look at it, what do? You might call it posing, but I think it's a lot more than that. Don't you guys go anywhere. There are many barriers to travel, but money should not be one of them. I have put together a free ebook for you, but please act now. It's available to you only until August 1st of this year. It's called Luxury Travel for Less. You can access it completely free of charge at luxurytravelforless.info. It's the kind of book that really is helpful. 32 pages, 75 websites, and all the hints and tips I use as I travel for 3 months throughout the year on a budget that's very similar to yours. We're all on fixed income here one way or another after retirement, and yet we love to travel, and we love to travel in luxury. No more bad beds for me. LuxuryTravelForLess.info. And now we're back. We're here with Julie Diebolt Price. And as you know now, she is not only a travel photographer, she's a travel teacher, but she's also a travel writer. She's got a new book out for travel writers on photography, but it's a lot more than that. So, Julie, tell us the name of your book and where we can find it. We're going to have the URL on our website and on our show notes. And if you're interested in taking the greatest pictures of your life, you'll even get a discount. Julie's been very, very kind to offer that to our listeners. So tell us about your book and some of the surprising things you found in writing it.
The title of the book is Photography for Travel Writers, Tips for Success in Today's Freelance Marketplace. I've had this book in the works for over a year. And when I actually sat down to start the writing and start telling travel writers the most important things, I realized that as a travel writer, you have to have some kind of proficiency with architectural photography, know how to photograph events, food photography, landscapes, touch on macro photography a little bit. You've got to know how to do portraits, still life photography, and the biggie, street photography and photojournalism. You don't have to be an expert in any one of them, but you have to understand how to get the light, see the light, work on your composition, and understand ISO, aperture, and shutter speed.
So, we talked about composition before we took our break, the rule of thirds and depth. So let's finish up that part of the conversation because I have plenty of others that I want to get into in terms of hints, tips, and hacks. But the rule of thirds, an important hack. Go ahead, tell us about it.
The rule of thirds is probably one of the most important tools that you can use. I mentioned before, on the iPhone, you can turn on the grid. That will give you a tic-tac-toe grid on your camera, and following that, if you place your subject where the lines intersect, or even better, in the four corners, it will give you a much more dynamic image than just placing your subject smack dab in the middle of the frame. That's what we typically do because, well, it just makes sense. Now, there
Sure.
are times when centered is something you want, but if you look at the great photographers, you'll find that knowing where to place your subject will give you consistent, repeatable success in your images. When you put the subject in one of the four corners or where the lines intersect, you will have a more engaged viewer and they'll feel more comfortable.
Now, depth of field, you say, and I'm laughing at this, by the way, it's simpler than you think. Well, I don't know if it's simpler than I think, but tell us, depth of field, how do we get that?
Depth of field is controlled by the aperture. On our iPhones, there are ways to adjust the aperture after you take the picture. When you're using a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, you adjust the aperture to throw the background out of focus, and that's depth of field. If everything is in focus from near to far as you're looking through the viewfinder, that is a deep depth of field. A shallow depth of field is where the subject is in focus, and the background and the foreground is out of focus. It's blurry.
A little bit fuzzy, right?
A little bit fuzzy, yes. It's a little bit challenging to understand it to begin with because you do not have to move to get a deep depth of field or shallow depth of field. All you have to do is change the aperture, and there are different ways to do it on different cameras.
For those of you who are serious about this, Julie does do one-on-one training. I have watched Julie maybe 12 YouTube explanations of how to do this. I can't get it. Please feel free to speak with Julie. We give you a free way to do that by going on the Ageless Traveler website. Go to our podcast page and you will see a little icon that lets you ask questions or even text and ask a question of Julie. We'll be able to get it to her and she will answer it. She's a very generous person. So let's go back again here. With regard to the book itself, it goes through all these things, but one of the things you mentioned was food. And I'll give you a little experience I had. I'm a writer, obviously not a photographer. So I was with folks from National Geographic. We were in Portugal covering a parade, and we ate. We wanted to take a picture. So I couldn't believe what I saw. These guys stood up on the chair at the table in the restaurant and took the picture of the plate of food from the top, from above. From then on, this is years, Julie, I've been doing the same thing. So do you have any hints and tips for any of those things you mentioned? Gardens, food, maybe wildlife, little hacks like that even an amateur like me could use?
When I'm in a restaurant photographing food, I don't take just one picture. I take several with different positions, and I always look at what's on the table, and if I can move things, I do so, because distracting background takes away from the plated food. So try to have as simple as you can. Now, you can't always do that, particularly when you're dining with other people. And if you're going to photograph their food, you better do it fast because they want to eat, and they many times do not want to wait for the photographer to photograph their food. So you've got to learn how to capture them quickly.
With my family, it's the quick and the dead. I mean, stuff goes not only in the mouth, but in the pocketbook for later, before you even could get your camera out. But all right, that's my family.
Also, when you're photographing in a restaurant, shoot it at a 45-degree angle, because that's how people look at their food when they're going out. So if they're looking at a photograph that you've taken in a magazine or online, they want to see how it's going to look sitting in front of them. So that's how they will perceive maybe I want to order that or maybe I sure don't.
So the perspective is important there.
Perspective is important. And
Yeah.
I have done flat lay pictures, which means standing over the food or whatever the subject is and shooting it from above, but I have special lighting and a tripod and all of that. So I'm just, as a personal thing, I don't want to impact other people when I'm photographing in public.
Now, let's take a look at something else that you mentioned. That's gardens. The person in my family that likes to take pictures is my husband, and what he likes to take pictures of are iconic buildings, but he takes them through a bush, a rose bush, a tree. So you're always getting a certain perspective with this beautiful, beautiful floral in front of you. That's almost his subject matter, but the Buckingham Palace is behind it. So that's the way he does gardens. But there's special ways to do gardens and flowers, because that's the second type of thing we all like to take pictures of.
Yes. So when you are photographing a garden, you want to fill the frame with the best parts of the garden. And as far as an iconic background, that is a wonderful way to capture images. It's about the flowers, yet it places the picture and the viewer in that scene, in that setting. And it's not your typical, oh, here's an iconic picture and, how many copies of that are out in the world? Millions, probably. So he's got a good eye to give a different perspective, which is wonderful in travel photography. You would be able to tell a complete story with a really wide angle view, and you can see everything that there is there, like maybe a fountain or water fountain or whatever behind it. You could do a medium shot that gives you a little bit more than just a close-up, but the close-up will give you exquisite details of a petal of a flower or whatever.
Right. Again, a little anecdote. I was out in Tucson with a group called Visit Tucson. It's their tourist board. They sent me out with photographers, and we went through a sightseeing tour, and I took my notes, and I had my article right away. That's the truth. The photographers, I went with them. It took days. They had to go early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. Then they had to go at night. They were capturing the light. The light wasn't there. 3 days. All I'm hearing, the light, we have to find the light.
You have to understand light and the quality and the quantity of light. For people that are not travel writers and are not photographers, they're just visitors and they're tourists. Light is the most important part about photography. Photography is controlling the light. The best time to photograph is early morning and late afternoon and just before sunset. The light is less intense. The shadows are softer. The light is golden as opposed to high noon. The light is directly overhead. It gives you terrible shadows if you're photographing a person. It gives you sharp shadows. And very seldom is that going to be an attractive travel photo. Most frequently, photographers will take a nap at high noon so they can be out at 4 o'clock in the morning waiting for sunup, or they'll delay dinner because they're waiting for the blue hour, which occurs after sunset when the sky is still blue and just before total dark. So the life of a photographer is dependent on the light and the quality of the light.
So profound and so beautiful and so true, because I saw that. So I will now take a little bit of a break because we're going to go on a trip together. And we come back, I want to talk about the part of the photography process that I'm most involved in, and that is posing for the picture. Don't you guys go anywhere. What are you doing between March 29th and April 12th, 2025? Are you going on safari? Well, we are. Please come with us on our very first Ageless Traveler trip. I will make sure that you see everything that's on your bucket list. We're going with the very famous Colette Tours, one of the oldest tour operators in the United States. They know us, they respect us, and they provide for us everything that we need. Yes, we are going to Kenya. We will see the city of Nairobi. We're going to the Serengeti. We will see the Big Five. We will also have adventures of a lifetime. If you have been studying safari, or even if you have gone on many safaris, this is something really different. So, how do you find out about it and get your special discounts because you're an ageless traveler? Very simple. Go to agelesstraveler.com. That's our website, agelesstraveler.com. Take a look at featured trips. Get the details by clicking right there. You can do everything from inquire, get your question answered, to book right away so that you're going with us. It is a terrific, terrific tour. And by the way, you can also go to the Masai Mara on an optional pre-trip tour. There's a lot more to it than that because there's yet more opportunity if you have longed to trek with the gorillas in Uganda. Yep, we can make that happen too. So please take a look at agelesstraveler.com, featured travel, and go on safari with us. Now we are back, and I do want everybody to know that Julie Diebolt Price is a very generous person. I mentioned that before. She not only will answer your questions, and you'll be able to ask them free of charge at agelesstraveler.com by looking at our voicemail icon. You can even text if you don't want to leave a voicemail. So tell us once again the name of your book because you'll be able to find it through our show notes here. Go ahead, Julie. And everybody gets a discount because you are part of the Ageless Traveler family. What is the name of your book?
Photography for Travel Writers. Tips for Success in Today's Freelance Marketplace.
So I love that. And it also tips you off to the fact that if you have a hankering to do some of this professionally, it's a very important book for you to read. It could be the start, the kickstart of you doing some of the things that Julie and I do and really enjoy going around the world. All right. So here I am. I'm supposed to be the influencer, the personality. So I see all these wonderful, and I must admit, younger folks with their iPhones taking selfies of themselves every single second, posting them on Instagram, and they look terrific. They look like models, like they just came out of a studio. I take a picture, I look like Who Did It and Ran. It is just the worst, and so that I've given up. But when somebody takes a picture of me, I can see that it's their skill, not the way I look, that makes all the difference in the world. So I know the photographer is important, yet I'd like to give them a hand. For posing, is there anything we can do to look right on camera?
Oh, yes. And I'm so glad you asked. First of all, I hate selfies. I don't like the way I look, no matter how many times I try when I do a selfie. So I don't know how these influencers do it, but they've got a lot of practice doing that. So for a non-photographer or for a subject in a photograph, some key posing tips are: don't face directly face on to the camera. Turn on an angle, either turn to the right or turn to the left, so your shoulders are on an angle. And then you bring your face back towards the photographer or towards the camera. And now you've got a beautiful angle that is softer. And you're not like a soldier standing at attention. And when you're on an angle like that, put your weight on the back foot and bend that front knee just a little bit. So now you have subtly put your body into an S curve. So in photography, we like S curves and C curves to create interest. It's not as jarring, if you will. So with a slight angle, and you turn your face towards the camera. Now you could do a head tilt that gets a little more complicated, but if the photographer says, tilt your head towards your left shoulder or put your chin down, that is a great photographer who knows how to make you look better. Put your chin down a little bit. That way now you're looking directly into the camera lens, and it's just much more relaxed. And you don't always have to put on this big toothpaste dad smile. Sometimes a little smile without teeth showing is just enough. When people go serious, their eyes go dead. And with just that little smile, you get a little spark of personality in the eyes. And that's what the viewer looks at. If you stop and think, and if you pay attention to when you look at a picture now of a person or of people, what's the first thing you look at? You look
You
at
do
their
look at
eyes.
their eyes. Yeah, absolutely true.
Exactly.
In
Yes.
fact, they say that you fall in love, particularly women, fall in love with men because of their eyes. They've done surveys. They said, why'd you fall in love with the guy? 2 answers. He was funny and he had nice eyes. I have to ask you this because of this eyes. I'm very short and I don't know where to look in the camera, particularly if it's not a camera, but a phone. I tend to always be looking up because I'm really looking up at the person taking the picture who's always taller than me.
Okay, good. All right. So you should always look at the lens because that's how you will connect with the viewer after the picture is taken. So you know where the lenses are on an iPhone or an Android, like on a cell phone.
Yes.
Look at those. If you're looking at like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, always look in the lens. Don't look at the photographer. Now, they may come away from behind their camera and look at you and smile and then go right back behind the camera, which is good because the photographer will get that emotion from you, but then go right back behind the camera. Always look at the lens.
So that's really very, very instructive. Now, when we come back and talk about a few fun things, you know Julie by now, but you don't know that she is the ageless adventurer. And I have a question for her that I told her I would not reveal. So she's waiting to hear, what is this question? Don't you guys go anywhere. Here at Ageless Traveler, we're very interested in breaking down barriers to traveling. And one of the things that you told us is that if you are a caregiver, you find it very difficult to get away for respite care yourself and very difficult to navigate those airports, cruise ships, and any kind of tourism with the person that you love. Well, we fixed that for you. We have a free ebook, The Caregiver's Travel Guide. It might be the first in history, and it is absolutely free. Please go to caregiverstravelguide.com and get your free download of this remarkable book. You can travel without your care recipient with peace of mind, travel with your care recipient stress-free. You will learn exactly what you need to do to navigate the tough spots, everything from hydration for both of you to the way you should be packing, and of course your legal rights, your insurance needs, and all the questions answered that you had nobody to ask. And that is the Caregiver's Travel Guide. You'll find it free of charge to everyone. Caregiverstravelguide.com. And now we are back with a question, a thoughtful question that I want to pose to Julie Diebolt Price, who is a photographer. She's been around for quite a while. When you take a look at what she addresses herself to, you'll see one of the things she says is boomers. And in her Substack, she's calling herself the Ageless Adventurer. So, Julie, we have a separate company. A company is for the industry, for the tourism industry, called Ageless Tourism. And it teaches companies how to use images that do not reflect ages. Now, you're the Ageless Adventurer and you're a photographer. So here's my question. Where do you find images? I have to tell you that most of the images I see in tourism marketing are very offensive. Either are catering to us as if we're disabled, or they're catering to us as if we're mannequins. The happy boomer that, can do everything, has everything, and it looks artificial, phony, and it's, in many ways, it's not attractive. So it's either one place or the other, or the images of us are as patients somewhere. Now
Yeah.
you got to take pictures. You're the one who takes the pictures. I would like to know, do you think that we're up to par in terms of our images? And what do you do to make sure that an image is not ageist?
Well, because I'm an adventurer, which I didn't think I was until this last year, because I have a fear of flying, but I enjoy tremendously kayaking, horseback riding, hot air ballooning, and car camping. So my goal, tell my story about all of this, is to photograph people doing these things that I enjoy doing. And as I do more of it, I am photographing more of it. I was on a hot air balloon ride recently, and there are a lot of, there were influencers there, young, svelte influencers. There were baby boomers there. And I want to use those pictures to tell our story so that they know that whether you're 50 or 25 or 70 like I am, you're not dead, you're not a patient, it's not fake, this is real life, and you can enjoy these things that aren't, they may be adventurous, but anybody, if I can do it, anybody can do it. That's the message that I want to get across.
And we need more pictures of that, because, as I say, either the pictures are insulting to begin with, or they are just too perfect, and everybody's sitting there stiff as a board with a Prosecco, looking great.
Yeah.
And, we have nothing. I love Prosecco. I am the Prosecco queen. I've been on the Prosecco wine trail, by the way, which is in Italy. No surprise. But the fact is that we are really in action. And that's what you're saying. Take the pictures of us in action.
Yes.
Well, I'm very excited about all of this. Well, I want to thank you, Julie, so much. This has been an incredible journey, and what a wonderful audio explanation and tutorial, I'm going to say. But not just that, your warmth comes through. And before we leave, please mention your book one more time, which everybody will be able to get their discount on. And they'll know all about it through our website. Give us the name of your book again, Julie.
It's the Photography for Travel Writers, Tips for Success in Today's Freelance Marketplace.
And for those of you who use Substack, you'll know that Julie's on Substack. It's going to be an easy name to know because we are the Ageless Traveler. She is the Ageless Adventurer. And for all of you out there, you know what I'm going to say. Never stop traveling.